Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and good morning. And it is still morning. And can I say what a pleasure it is to see such large numbers of people here, and to thank the Regent's Park Mosque, the Central Mosque, for inviting me, for allowing us to meet here today. Obviously, actually, it's the first I've heard about these hustings tomorrow. I better find out. I better find out whether my diary permits me to do it. But it is a real pleasure to see you here. Obviously, it won't have escaped the notice of many of you that there are only 6 days to go until an unfortunate democratic event, which I cannot escape. But I hope nonetheless that we may meet even after that election. I want to say something very quickly about London, how I see it, and how I see the role of the Muslim community in London. And it perhaps won't surprise absolutely everybody here today if I reveal that my great-grandfather, my father's father's father, is that right? Fled as a refugee and came to this city. He picked it out of, I don't know why he chose London, but it obviously attracted him. And he put down roots here, briefly, because he then went back and I'm afraid was assassinated because he wasn't a very competent politician or journalist. But he put down roots here. He was, I hope some of you may know, he was a Muslim. He was a man who could recite the Quran by heart, and his father had made the Hajj. So I hope you will accept that he would have been absolutely astonished to discover that his great-grandson had gone on to become Mayor of London. And I know that many of you were absolutely astonished 4 years ago when I was elected. But what I think the story shows is that London is a most wonderful city for people around the world. It's a place where people want to come, it's a place where people can make their lives, and it's a city of opportunity. It was a city of refuge for my great-grandfather, but it's a place where people can come and achieve anything in their lives. And my job as your mayor is to make sure that London is a great city that can nurture talent of all kinds. And number one, we've got to keep the fight against crime going, haven't we? Crime is, I think, for many people in our city, the most important concern, and it's vital that we keep the fight up against crime. And that's why we are putting more police out on the beat. We've got 1,000 more police now than there were 4 years ago, and I would respectfully submit that you need a mayor who's able to go and get the budgets from government that will keep police numbers high. And this may be a controversial thing to say, but I think if you look at what's happening on the tube and on the buses, although there are still problems, they are substantially safer than they were. And crime on the tube is down by about 20%, crime on the buses is down 30%. I think that may be associated with the ban on alcohol that we brought in 2008. I think it was an important thing to do. I see no reason why people should sit in front of each other late at night on the tube slurping back beer. It's intimidating. We stopped it, and I think it's being very largely observed. That's an important thing to have done. Crime is down overall by more than 10% in London over the last 4 years, as I say, to pick a period entirely at random. And we want to continue that work of driving down crime. And the murder rate, the number of people who are being murdered in our city, which is not an index that you can very easily fudge, is it? This is one statistic politicians can't very easily make up. The murder rate is down by about 25% in the last 4 years. So my number one job as your mayor is to keep the police getting out there on the streets, protecting all communities, driving down crime, and particularly through neighbourhood policing. I think the Safer Neighbourhood teams have been a great success. We want to expand them. We're now going to be putting 3 more police constables and 3 specials into each safer neighbourhood team. Each of the 624 wards, there will be a big expansion of neighbourhood policing. And the special constables, you may not know, they have the full powers of the warranted officers. They have the uniform, they have the full powers of arrest of the warranted officers. And what we're doing now to help recognise the contribution of special constables. And can I say, by the way, how much I hope to recruit more people, more from the Muslim community to join up as police officers and special constables. We are going to recognise their contribution by giving them a big discount in the council tax. There are now more BAME officers in London now than at any time in the past in the Metropolitan Police, but we need to go much further and much faster to create real confidence in our police. The second thing we need to do is we need to keep investing in the projects, in the infrastructure that will make London a great place to live, to work, to invest in the next 5, 10, 20 years. And I'm thinking of the tube, the buses, the transport, the roads, the transport infrastructure that we need to develop. And I see that the Bakerloo line has had some difficulties this morning. Has anybody been on the Bakerloo line to get here? I apologise. I have to apologise almost every day to someone or other for difficulties encountered in public transport. But that's my job. And my job is to get the investment that will fix the roof in the Bakerloo line and to upgrade the Jubilee line. Does anybody use the Jubilee line? Now, who thinks the Jubilee line has been getting moderately better? A little bit. It has. I promise you it's been getting better. 18 months ago, I have to admit to you, we had some problems. But we are now really starting to see the benefits of the investment in the transmission-based train control system. That new signalling on the Jubilee line is pushing those trains through the tunnel 3 miles an hour faster, at least, on average, than they were when I was elected. That may not sound much of a statistic, but it's true. And delays are being reduced, and we've reduced delays on the overall network by 40%. We want to continue. We want to continue with this work. It means fighting for budgets from central government. It means making sure that we cut waste, and it means putting the money where it will make a difference for Londoners. And those investments in transport, in our housing programmes as well, we're going to be building a huge numbers of affordable homes over the next 4 years. And this is critically important for people in every community in London. Young people must be able to live near their place of work. There are too many people in London who cannot come near the cost of housing. And that's why it's absolutely essential to build tens of thousands more affordable homes every year. We can do it. We're creating a new Homes for London agency. We will bring together all the land of the old HCA, the Homes and Communities Agency, the London Development Agency, 530 hectares of land we're going to put together and encourage development to build thousands, tens of thousands of affordable homes every year. And that is the most urgent task we face over the next 4 years, to tackle our housing crisis and give Londoners places they can live affordably. That's for social rent, and also for those who can, for those who want, the option of part buy, part rent. If you think, if young people, people want to get a share in the value of their property, we have schemes where they can put down some of their own money and start to get a foot on the housing ladder. It's very important to do that, as well as building huge numbers of homes for social rent. And finally, since I'm being asked by Harris to wrap up, let me, even though I was given 19 minutes to speak.
I'm sure we said 30 seconds.
Okay, I will wrap up. I will wrap up in 30 seconds. I want to make one very, very important point about the jobs that we're going to create by these investments in housing and transport. I want to see these jobs go to young people in London. Do you agree with me? There is a risk. There is a risk now, I believe, that we will create 200,000 jobs by investment in these great projects. There is a risk. There is a risk. I'm afraid, Harris, you won't shut me up from saying this. There is a risk that too many of those jobs will go to people, bright, talented people, who will come from other European Union countries and take those jobs. Now, I've got no objection to talent coming into this country at all. But I think it's our priority to make young people in London, give them the skills, the aptitude, the mental hunger to do those jobs. And that's why we have a huge programme of apprenticeships, and I hope very much that you will support that work as well. And finally, to get young people ready, they need encouragement, they need support, they need the right work ethic, don't they? And I know that many of you here do a fantastic amount of good for young people in your communities, to help them, to give them discipline, boundaries, support. That is what so many of you do in your mosques around London. I congratulate you on that work. And I just want to say this in conclusion, that I want to support you in that work. And if I'm lucky enough to be re-elected, I will continue to support the Muslim community in any way that I can. And I hope that in the last 4 years, I've done something to dispel some of the negative impressions that may have arisen in 2008 because of some things that I'd previously written that were not perhaps as judiciously phrased as they ought to have been. Let's put it as tactfully as I can. I hope the work we've done to continue to support Eid has been recognised, and I will go to, and I have been on mosque visits. And I hope some of you may have seen, by the way, the programme that I did. Did anybody see the programme I did in which I tried to articulate some of the historic contribution of Islam to our society and our civilization? Did you watch it? I'm delighted. You're one of a tiny minority there. Thank you very much. Not many people did. It was very much an exclusive taste, that programme. But I'm delighted that you saw it. And it was my pleasure to try to demystify some of the incredible contributions of Muslim culture and civilization to our society today. And I will continue with that work. I just want to say, in conclusion, that I hope very much this event will be, if I'm lucky enough, if I'm spared by the electoral reaper in 6 days' time, I hope that we will be able to do this event or something very like it every year at least. Would that be welcome? Would that be welcome? I hope we will do this event or something like it every year at least, and that we can have a proper programme. Because I have to admit, there's more that I could have done. I hope that we will have a proper programme of engagement with City Hall, with the mosques, so that we can support you in the fantastic work that you do. And my programme is very simple, you've heard it already, to cut crime, to invest in transport, to take London forward, but above all, to unite the city as the greatest city on earth, the city that my great-grandfather, a proud Muslim, decided to come and live in. Thank you very much for listening to me this morning.
I feel passionately that we need Boris to remain as Mayor of London, and I wanted to just say a few things about why I think it's really important for the Muslim community in London that Boris stays in his role. We continue to have a Conservative Mayor in London. And I think there are two big things where I think that the partnership between Boris as Mayor and ourselves as Government Minister really will have an important part to play for this community in the years to come. And I really want to focus on some of the issues that actually affect us all. Because it seems to me that there are some big challenges we have to address for the Muslim community in London and indeed for the community in London as a whole. And over the last 4 years, Boris and we, first in opposition and now in government, have worked really closely together in areas like skills development, in work with young people from some of our most deprived communities, to really make sure we give those young people an opportunity. And in a sense, it's that work that Naz Bakari was such a pioneer in the community he led, helping young people from the Muslim community break new frontiers. And I want the work that we do and have been doing together to help young people in London achieve the most they can in life to be able to continue, and I'm absolutely confident that if Boris continues as mayor, we'll be able to do that. The other thing I wanted to mention is, of course, the one thing you find everywhere in the Muslim community in this country is a spirit of enterprise. Because you're not just Muslims, you're also entrepreneurs. The people who come to the mosques on a Friday are the backbone, I think, of so much of our small business in this country. Some people who take risks, who work long hours, who make a huge contribution to our economy. And a few weeks ago, I was visiting my friends at the Muslim Enterprise Centre in Liverpool, a great centre that does tremendous work helping people in the community build and develop their businesses. And really, we are determined to see that spirit of enterprise grow and develop. And what London needs above all else is someone who will be a champion for its entrepreneurs. Boris has been that for 4 years. Boris can continue to fulfil that role. And I think will do a brilliant job for the entrepreneurial Muslim community and not just for the Muslim community as a whole. So I very much hope, I've got some great friends in the Muslim community. I've got friends with strongly conservative values. And I hope that they will see in a conservative mayor and a conservative mayoral candidate someone who can be the right leader for this city for the next 4 years. And I hope the community will rally behind him and give him your support. Thank you.
This is Sir Iqbal Sakrani, one of our leading community members, also trustee of Tooting and Baba Mosque.
I just want to mention how important it is in terms of the background. The Muslim community has been marginalized for many, many years. And someone who has got the history of genealogy and coming from a Muslim background, we see from a clear record of how many members of the community have been engaging in the mainstream. Organisation at Muslim Council Britain, the first democratically elected national umbrella body, has finally managed to bring the community together and to ensure they play a key role in the mainstream society. This only is possible if we have the response both from the parties we're engaging with and the community itself through which the engagement takes place. It is through this engagement over the years that today the community, I believe, has moved from the margins and playing a key role in the mainstream. Whether you look in the political sphere of members of parliament, members in the House of Lords, number of councillors, members on the governor's board, across the whole national life of the country, we see the Muslim community playing its role. We are still not there. We are still struggling. How come that since the Conservative Party has come into place, and since you were elected, we were in fact immensely impressed. One of the first visits we did was to the East London Mosque, a key mosque in Tower Hamlets. Very positive statement coming. But Boris, we don't want to talk about politics, we don't talk about the reality, because we are talking about the real life of the community. How come that this engagement has suddenly comes into disengagement? It's not just the Eagles way. It's not just in terms of the national body like the MCB were having regular consultation which improved the life of the Muslims in London and in community. How come that this engagement took place? We want to really know the reasons. Because I thought that perhaps there may be areas we need to come up. If not, then in the same way that the Mayor's office, the Conservative Party, is engaging with the Jewish community, with the Hindu community, with the Sikh community, the Muslim community should be treated at par. They are no less, no higher, but in practice, it's crucial. Otherwise, it's just an atmosphere that we're having just before the election. Just before the election, final word, just before the election, this important meeting has taken place. And of course, we know that just before the elections, we have the number. Today, I hope it will be something different, something that will bring a change in the, not just in the Conservative Party, but in the Mayor's office as well, as long as the Muslim community.
I think your perception, I'm afraid, is right, in the sense that in the last year or so, I have to tell you that I have been overwhelmingly engaged in pre-Olympic work, in the post-riot effort, and I have to say that yes, we could have done more. We could have done more. I did the visit to the East London Mosque that you mentioned. We continue to support it. By the way, Eid on the Square hasn't been cancelled. no, let's not get that in. We continue to support it. What we've just agreed today is that one way or the other, I'm going to have to find the funds for the reception. We will do that. And yes, I will make sure that the programme of engagement is more thoroughgoing and more visible. And so everybody here understands who to come to in City Hall, where the lines of communication are, and when the next event is, so that people have a sense that they can get through to us and they have a sense of when the next point of contact is going to be. I really can't say. I hope that will do for the time being, Sir Iqbal. That's what I want to do.
Can I make that?
Are there issues that has affected this?
No, please, no, absolutely not.
There must otherwise. Why sudden breach that has taken place? That's my.
There was, I'm sorry. That is a misunderstanding. There's been absolutely no intention on our part to give that. Indeed, I suppose it was that sense that I think people said to me there was this feeling. I thought, well, we better do something. I'd better have a meeting and invite people so that I can at least explain what's going on and what I intend to do over the next 4 years. And I think you better. And of course, you're right to point out that there's only 6 days to go to an election and all that. It's perfectly obvious. But better to clear the air and make the point and try and get over what we want to do than just leave the question hanging. That's my view.
Just before you address the quick question in regards to burial plots and policing, can you make a commitment today that if you're re-elected as the Mayor of London, that you will engage with some of the key grassroots community stakeholders, including Sitbas Sakrani, to take this issue of engagement forward?
Yes, absolutely. And I understand the vital importance of engagement, not just because it's valuable for me to hear what you have to say about what's going on in London, but also because I think there's a huge chance now to mobilise Londoners to do things for each other in the way that I know is important to you in your work, in your mosques, in your communities. And we have set up an agency called Team London, which is there to promote volunteering, to promote acts of kindness, to promote reciprocity, to teach people that there's a community out there, that there's things to be done for each other, and to help people to be good. And I know that you're doing that already, but we want to engage with you in that effort and in that work.